Okay, so tell me who you are and what you do.
My name's Tony Bhogal. I'm actually originally a mining engineer, graduated from Staffordshire University, North Staffs Poly as it was then. I joined our family business after I graduated, mainly because of the problems that we had in the mining industry at the time. I graduated just after the miners' strikes. I was working for British Coal. I had the opportunity to continue working there as a graduate, but I just couldn't see any opportunities there.
So you joined the family business?
Well, I don't know even if you know this, Martin, but I actually got an offer to go to Australia to work in the coal mines there. But my dad had just set up the family business repairing starter motors and alternators, which was just starting to get going. So I suppose it's been in our family blood all the time to have your own business as well. So
was it difficult? Because you went from being you did graduate job, which we've done, to go into a family business because where your dad is in charge. Was that difficult? Was that a difficult transition?
It wasn't, to be fair, because the business was quite small at the time, and my dad was quite happy sort of doing all the background work, he was the cogs of the business, and he needed really somebody to be the face of the company. And that's where I fitted in, doing the sales, the marketing, going out, visiting customers, dealing with suppliers as well. And so I just built that side of the business up. And then over the years, we've sort of we've grown the business. We've got a few good contracts, and it started going as well as we thought it could do as well. And my two brothers actually then ended up joining the business as well. My middle brother, he came in on the technical side, running the workshops as we've grown bigger. And then my youngest brother, he then took over a lot more of the internal admin of the business, and allowed me just to be out and about, doing a bit of wheeling and dealing, buying and selling, all that sort of thing, which I really, really enjoyed, and traveling around the country. So and it worked well. We were a good team, and the business sort of took off in the early 90s then.
So how big is it now? How's it grown? Because you started off, you're saying, you and your dad.
Yes.
So what I knew of it at the time was it was fixing alternators and selling used alternators. If that's I know that's an understatement of it, but from when I've been to your offices now, you're a significant company.
It's grown quite well. We're probably the largest independent remanufacturer and supplier of starters and alternators in the UK.
Right.
And a lot of that was we were able to take advantage of some of the opportunities that were presented to us in the industry, but also we had a few knockbacks as well, which again, you'll be aware, in '96 my dad passed away.
Yep.
So then it was up to myself and my two brothers to continue running the business. But we were fortunate because my dad had never run the business as being although he was the head of the business, he didn't sort of keep all the control of it. We'd had the three main aspects of the business under our own responsibilities, with me doing the sales and the marketing, and my other two brothers looking after the internal side. So
do you think that was deliberate? Because I mean, one of the problems a lot of businesses, family businesses, have is is passing on, because we're all aware, we're all going to pass away at some point. But do you think he planned it that way, thinking, right, I'm going to set this up so that you three are doing these bits so that you can carry on? Do you think it was deliberate or accidental?
Partly, but also I think each of the separate aspects of the business suited our personalities as well. I mean, you've known me for long enough as well, and you know, I like to sort of mix with people and get on. And my other two brothers, they're good at doing what they do as well. So I think we just naturally slotted into those particular roles in the business there as well. And my dad was always there just to bounce ideas off and keep an eye out on us and just give us a slap when we were going slightly offline as well. But
So what do you put? Because you say, I mean, you say it's a bit. It's not disparaging yourself. It's we've managed to take advantage of opportunities that are presented to us. But you've grown this business from this to this, so that isn't you taking advantage of opportunities. Some things you've obviously got a lot more. What do you put the success down to? That it's not just taking advantage; it's some level of skill and ability as well, isn't it?
Yeah,
honest.
I think one of the things is we've always taken advantage of technology as it changes as well. You know, we were one of the first companies in the automotive aftermarket to ditch a paper catalogue, for example.
Right.
And we put all our products onto electronic cataloguing. We've always had a strong emphasis on computerizing whatever we can, and that's obviously been a benefit to the business. And also, we're in a sector that's remanufacturing. Basically, we get an old alternator or a starter motor, completely strip it down, change all the parts in it that need changing, and make it as new. And it's sold back out into the market with a 2-year warranty. And we've also then got all the environmental credentials there as well. So with it being a recycled product, so that's something that we've really sort of built the business on. And also, we just
you've not latched on, but is the environmental thing based on belief, in a sense, or based on business need? Do you know what I mean? Is it based on your inbuilt desire? Or is it a business thing you've decided on?
It's a good question. A lot of it is based on business, but there is that belief there as well. The problem is, though, how people perceive it as well. It's like, I mean, give example, Primark, for example. Everybody says, oh, you've got to treat the workers properly. Those people in Bangladesh or wherever, they're getting paid less than a pound a week or whatever it is. But that doesn't stop those people then still going to Primark and buying those the $2.99 dresses or whatever. No, you know, and it's one thing actually believing in something and then actually carrying that out as well. And everybody's after a bargain in the industry. And the reason why I'm bringing that up is that we've tried to be an ethical business, but again, you've got to adapt to the market. So wherever we can, we've provided remanufactured products, but people don't necessarily want to always pay the price for that as well. And in the automotive sector, like most industries in the UK, there's been a lot of competition from China and the Far East.
So are your products more expensive than you can get in China?
It can be, yes. So we've had to adapt our model accordingly. Now, there's certain items that we buy in, but the majority of the products we still sell out into the market are remanufactured. But over the last sort of maybe 5 or 6 years, we've repositioned the business again, whereas before we were supplying a full range of starters and alternators, which we still do. But what we've found is because of this competition from China and places like that, where we've done is we've found a niche in the market where we're mainly providing products that people can't get from anywhere else, because the UK car market is very, very diverse. And as a result of that, it's given us some opportunities where the volumes aren't there for somebody to manufacture replacement parts new, but we can service that market by remanufacturing the replacement parts as well. So that's been quite a change for us, really. Rather, we still do offer the full range of products, but the focus is on the less popular tail end.
Is the bulk of the things you sell, I would imagine the tail end products are a smaller proportion of your overall volume.
They are, but because we covered so much of the tail end, it's still quite a lot of volume there as well. And we've just left it to our competitors just to find it out in the market on price. But we found our own level there as well. And
so how do you set your pricing? pricing's always a big issue with a company, and I've got lots of clients that struggle. How do you determine your pricing? What's your process?
Well, again, because in some instances we're the only company in the UK that'll have that particular part. Say if somebody wanted a starter mod for an Aston Martin DB9, chances are we're the only company that'll have that in stock. And you've obviously got to base it on your costs and a profit margin, but also you can look at the market pricing as well. So our competition there is the main dealers. But
yeah, it would be much more expensive.
Exactly, yeah. So by the very nature of our business and the products with them being remanufactured, well, we've always got a competitive edge over the main agents as well. And particularly then as the car gets slightly older, then people don't necessarily have the resources to go to the main agents and put the original genuine part into the vehicle. Where a lot of the time it's companies like us that are supplying the original parts anyways.
What's interesting is you started off as a small business, you grew into a bigger business doing everything, and then you've identified a niche, and whether that niche is the bulk of your business or not, that niche is your focus, which gives you something to be, doesn't it? Because I think it's important that a business is something as opposed to just trying to do everything. It does seem to me you found some niche where you can dominate that niche, haven't you?
But you're right, but also you've got to build around that as well. You can't just say, right, I've got this niche product and then just sit back and expect it to come to you. So this is where you've got to put all that infrastructure around it. And the way we've done that is with our cataloguing, our website, our promotions to the automotive trade, so people know what we're doing. We've got a sales manager now who goes out, visits customers, well, or he used to, but now you'll have the Zoom meetings or telephone calls, etc. So that's what we've had to do as well. You know, you've got to still promote yourself, even if you've got a fantastic, unique product. You've still got to let people know out there that you've got that service.
A lot of people they make the mistake. They set up the business, they set up the website, they set up their thing, they got a great product, and then they haven't actually got any money, time, or resource to tell anyone it exists. They they go on the runway and they start to take off, and then they just drop because they've got nothing to do. You talked about your ethical business. I just want to talk a bit about that because I know you for a long time, and I know you're a very ethical, decent, honourable person. How do you make your business ethical? What do you do? What things have you done to make sure you're an ethical business?
Well, one is obviously from the environmental side.
Yes.
We remanufacture products, so we're recycling items that may otherwise just be thrown away and just become landfill, etc. So that's one side of it. The other aspect is the looking after the staff, the environment that people are working in. Since 1995, we've been ISO 9001 accredited, which was quite important for us. It just gives you that quality standard, and also it's a stamp there to know that you're working to a certain level. So again, you bring in the ethical side of that. And then a few years ago, we got the ISO 14001 standard, which is the environmental
one. Yeah.
And then we've and then at the same time, we did the 45001 standard, which is the health and safety at work standard as well. So again, we work to recognise the standards internationally. So that people know that they're dealing with an organisation that's working in a professional way.
How many staff have you got now? How many staff have you got?
Over in the Bradford side, there's about 35. But also a couple of years ago, we diversified slightly, or I did, because my two brothers were looking after the Autoelectro side. Been running for over 30 years now, and it's established and settled. But my son graduated last year, and he actually did a degree in real estate, but he wanted to work for himself as well. He'd worked in London and done all the living out there, and he just didn't like living down there. And he said, "Look, I'd rather come back up north and do something with you." So I set up a separate business with my son. Again, initially it's in the automotive sector because that's obviously
That's what you know.
So in that business, we're a wholesale distributor of mainly steering and suspension parts. And that business has been growing as well over the last 18, 19 months or so. Most of my focus has been there. The ultimate aim there is once the two of us have built up our own track record, then we can get more involved on the real estate side as well.
So you're doing what your dad did. Your dad brought you in. You're bringing Harry in.
Yeah, I suppose so. Yeah.
And are you planning it? Because hopefully not soon, but at some point you're going to pass it on, aren't you?
Well, yeah. The way I want it to work is I'll carry on sort of looking after the automotive side, and then over the next few years, then Harry will get the expertise and the experience to run the real estate side. But it's been quite interesting for him as well because you go out, you work for somebody after you've graduated, but then you don't necessarily understand the day-to-day issues in running a business and doing things like cash flows, opening a bank account up, registering for VAT, setting up your PAYE, all these sorts of things. And he's been involved in doing that from the outset in the new business. So it's been quite a steep learning curve for him as well. And he's sort of responsible for all the banking, making the payments, etc. as well. So it gives them a feel for money coming in and going out and managing the finances as well. And then from there, you can just develop your own business style and the way that you want to go forward.
So if you could pass on one piece of advice, so let's say I wanted to set up a business, and from your experience, what are the things you should make sure you do? For example, one of the things I always learned, somebody told me once was, and it's a small thing, was to keep when you get paid your money, put your VAT and your tax in a different bank account. And I know it's a tiny thing, but actually then when I look at my bank account, I know that money is in theory mine.
Yeah.
That money never was mine. It's not mine. And it's just, so, because you've built your business from here to here, you've diversified, you've got a big business. What, if you could give what would you tell somebody is the most important thing to do? Which is a hard question, isn't it?
It is a difficult question. I mean, from a practical point of view, I think you've hit the nail on the head there as well. You've got to be able to control your finances, money coming in, going out. Without that, you haven't got a business. So that's,
no, it's nothing, is it?
It's nothing. So that is the key thing. It doesn't matter whether you're selling automotive parts or sweets or teddy bears or anything. You've got to have that circle of money coming in and going out.
A lot of people I work with, you ask them, they don't have a cash flow forecast. And I'm assuming you have a cash flow forecast.
Yeah, well, yeah. And to be fair as well, in these difficult times, everybody sort of knows where they want to be in the business and what they want to do. But a lot of those plans and ideas have just gone out of the window because people have had to close up. And we're just fortunate that we're not in the hospitality sector.
No, I've got clients in the hospitality sector, and I talked to one of them last week, and she said she basically by Christmas just said, I'm giving up. She's found a mojo again, and she's starting it. But the pressure on these, because you can't do anything, you can't earn any money.
No, I mean I've seen the news as well. I'm a bit of a news addict as well, so you hear some of these stories with the family-owned pubs and restaurants, small hotels, and honestly, Martin, really, your heart bleeds for them. I don't think people realise the heartache and the pain that individuals are going through at the moment. If you're working for somebody, I know it's not easy when you're furloughed, but at least you've got some income.
At least you've got some income coming in.
But when you're running your own business, you've obviously got those staff interests that you have furloughed to look after. But you've got your own family interests to look after. And you've got all the money coming in, going out. And also in some of these instances, you've got situations where it could be second, third generation families that are running those businesses.
Yeah.
It must be heart-wrenching, you know, thinking, well, actually, I'm going to end up losing all this. It's something that my parents, grandparents have built up over the years as well.
Well, one thing I think it's brought home is that somebody said to me that they used the phrase that, oh, it's not personal, it's only business. And I just brought home, that is the stupidest thing anyone could ever say. Your business is personal, my business is personal. There is no such thing. And perhaps will make people realise that actually it's all personal. Because
I think that's one of the differences, Martin. You know, not deriding anybody that doesn't run their own business, but it's easier for somebody to divorce themselves from their work environment and their personal if they're just going in there, doing their job, coming home. When you've got your own business as well, there's a lot more responsibilities there, and I'd say the majority of people never switch off. Even when you're on a holiday, you've got your phone with you, or you've got your computer, or you're thinking about things, or the middle of the night, you just suddenly think of something and just scribble it down on a bit of paper that's next to your bedside.
It's usually nonsense though when I scribble it down. It's just drivel. So what do you think it's been, because you okay, and I've gone on about how successful you are, because you know I think you're great, but what's the biggest mistake you've made? I've made hundreds of mistakes. What's the biggest mistake in business?
As a family business, when you're running it with your other siblings, I think the biggest mistake I've made is not being allowed to make mistakes, if that makes sense. Because you've got to make mistakes to learn from them as well. And if you've got to, sometimes you've got to have the guts just to follow your instincts and run with an idea. But not all of them are going to work, but you might just sort of hit on one of them that really sort of takes off and allows you to take your business to the next level.
So you think because it's a family business that restricts that's restricted your it's restricted your ability to make mistakes, as you say? Is that because you don't want your brothers taking the mickey out of you?
Part of that as well, but then you have the responsibility again, don't you, for the family, if you're running a family business and you're all sort of reliant on that.
So you've got a wider responsibility than just your family, haven't you?
Yes, that's true.
Their family, all the people that work for you's family. So is that why, one of the reasons why, other than Harry wanting to come in, when you diversify, you can play around a bit more, can't you?
You can, yeah. You can just take. It's difficult actually, because you could transpose risk and mistake with each other as well in the context that we're speaking now as well. So it just maybe you would take that extra risk that you wouldn't necessarily do if you were working in or you were responsible for the wider family as well. Because
you feel that responsibility.
There's that, and then also you've still got to work with consensus in a family business if you're going to take it forward. You've
got to work in consensus in any business, though, but perhaps it's a bit harder in a family business.
Well, yeah.
Because you've got the family dynamic, and you've got the relationships you've built up. Because you're the eldest, aren't you?
I am, yes.
So you're annoying if you're the eldest. You've got the eldest, you've got those dynamics that are built up over 20, 30 years, and then you've got to work in a business. That must be difficult.
It is, and also the way that we've been brought up in our family is there hasn't been a hierarchy between the brothers either. You know, it's.
Don't believe that.
No, it's true. It just because I'm the eldest doesn't mean what I say goes. It's not being like that at all. You know, we've always tried to do things. You know, if I go in and say I've got this brilliant idea, then if we don't, all three of us agree with it, then we don't go with it. It's as simple as that. And that's where maybe sometimes you don't get the opportunity to take that.
Because you self-regulate your own ideas, don't you? Sometimes you won't present an idea because you might think you won't express an idea because you're regulating it before you've talked to your brothers about it. And then they apply a level of regulation over your ideas as well, won't they? And you'll do the same for them. So
and also, Martin, it's sometimes it works to your favour as well, because then, you know, you go in there with this supposedly brilliant idea, you talk it over, And then you get shot down and say, well, that's a load of rubbish. Have you thought of this or thought of the other? And then you go away and actually say, well, yeah, they've probably got a point there. You know, I probably need to ditch that idea or think about it a little bit more.
But then, of course, you don't hate your brothers forever, don't you?
No, that's right, yeah.
Or is that just me? Okay, one more question, because I know you've got a busy afternoon. If you could go back, we've all had a really rough 12 months. It's been a hard, and it doesn't look like it's going to get that much easier for the next 6 months. And I've asked this question to pretty much everyone. If you could go back 12 months to January 2020, which seems like forever ago, what piece of advice would you give yourself that you think would help you have got through this?
You just monitoring everything, just keeping an eye out on your business, just seeing where it's going, where you can perhaps just cut back a little bit on costs, etc. It comes back down to the key aspect of any business, finance, is being able to just manage the finances accordingly.
Without the finances, you don't have a business.
You don't have a business. That's right. So this has been very, very difficult for anybody to manage, because nobody knew the full impact of what we were going to end up going through. I mean, even the government didn't know either, because this is why the furlough scheme's been extended, because like everybody, you know, we were all hoping by the end of last summer that
we all hoped it was over.
Normality, but it just didn't happen.
So you'd go back and basically tell yourself to do what you were doing already, which is monitoring your finances and keeping everything tight.
Yes, that's all you can do. And again, even when you've got your finger on the pulse like that, it's still difficult, because there's so many external influences. And then also, for example, like the other business that we've just set up, a lot of that product comes from Europe that we import. So you know what's coming next. So apart from the pandemic, we had the Brexit issues to cope with as well, which is starting to filter through now. And you're seeing now where people are suddenly shocked to find that when they've ordered some trainers from
it's a 20% or a 30%. Yeah. Oh, what a surprise! People are shocked when there's queues to get into, because what a surprise that is. I mean, I agree with you. I've been listening to that and thinking it's people buying stuff on eBay and suddenly getting a 30% bill when it gets delivered. And you think, well, what did we expect? This is the way it is.
And again, it may be that these were the sort of things that weren't explained when we were having the discussion. And again, it comes back down to sort of like my son coming into the business and understanding how you set up a business and what you do. And maybe the message wasn't put forward strongly enough at the time, that you do realise that if we do go down this route, there's going to be these duties, there's going to be this issue, there's going to be that problem. It was more on a sort of a superficial level.
I think it was superficial. Both sides. I mean, both sides lied, and so and it was people voted on gut feel at the end. And I think the chickens are going to come home to roost, if that is a real phrase. I know it's one my mum used to use. Okay, Tina, I know you got another. I'd say you got a busy after. I'd like just to say thank you very much. Thank you for your time, and I will put this on the website and I'll give you a link. Thank you very much, Tony.
No problem. It's been a pleasure speaking to you, Martin.